Alright, let me make this video here. This LS460 09 suspension swap. Here we go. Got this from Strut Masters over here. I'm hoping this shit's gonna go good. Headaches, man. They make it seem so easy. You watch like no videos on this tube to like figure out what you're gonna do and what you need to do. So taking this spindle out right here. Yeah, they say just drop it down, but if you drop it, you're gonna pull this axle, CV axle, right out too far, and then if it's old, it's gonna rip. So we dealt with that. So that was one problem that was not, posted on the video. So if this comes down, you gotta rest this on the cinder block or something. This cannot pull out. They see, yeah, they see one video, and it came all the way forward, and it just yanked that out. What a project to get that back in. You know what I mean? Especially if you're doing it by yourself, or you know what I mean, and you don't have a lift, and you're just trying to save yourself $1,000 or whatnot from changing this stuff. There's another thing: control arms and the ball joints. Trying to unscrew this thing, forget it. If it's gone, this is gonna spin, and the whole thing's gonna spin. You can't get this out. So I had to cut the bolts. By the way, this is a front all-wheel drive, so these, I guess, are universal. Actually, no, I'm sorry. The forwards universal, but the rears are not. So you got to kind of special order those for all-wheel drive, because they're mostly for rear-wheel drive. But I guess the front ones for all-wheel and rear-wheel drive. So getting this out, yeah, this got to come out. They make it so easy that the bolt's gonna like pop off. You can get it right here. Not so fast. You got to remove this whole strut tower again to take this part out. There's two bolts up here. One on the top, pin bolt that holds the top, one on the bottom. You cannot get the top one out without removing the strut, because it going against the frame. You can see where I was trying to get the bolt up from the back. It's just scraping the inner side of it. It won't come out. So that's another headache while changing these. So just think about that, because if these bolts are seized up, it's just like the videos, man. They make it so easy that these bolts are going to come out. You're talking about a car that's 12 years old. You know what I mean? And these bolts are just seized and frozen. And I'll get into the rear after, when we had to cut the bolts on the rear sway bar because they were spinning. So that's a tip right now. And I'm going to add a little more as I go. But like I said, when that comes out, you want to pull this forward to give yourself space to get this out. Do not let it rest. You cannot pull this thing out, or you just yank that CV axle right out of there. And then you're talking about, you can't even find a split boot for these all-wheel drives. You're talking they want to replace the whole axle. They don't want to do with just you changing the boot. So you just dollars are going to add up. So, and I'll get a part 2 on this after, as this project has been long going. Luckily I have another car, so this thing could sit in the garage. But there's a new one. We got rid of the air. The air was just a project and a half, and it was, the back rear was blown out. It wasn't sagging, but it was thumping. I was like, it's time to go. So I wasn't dealing with paying $1,000 per shock. I tell you that right now. But I'm gonna go part 2 on this, and I'll let you know how it works out.